Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. We're live here in the Ashley. We're back, lads.
Good to be back in it.
It is our spiritual
nice
home.
to be back. Flies haven't gone, like I've noticed. There's another one still.
That's it. Yeah, we think every week we'll come back and the flies will have buggered off, but they never do.
Have you? Well, where you live in Newcastle. Any flies in yours? I've got these little flies that won't fuck off.
Loads,
Any amount.
I had 6 flies in the sitting room today. It was doing me head in. I didn't notice them at first, but I can't remember what I was watching on the telly. Probably Sky Sports News, as we'll get on to. But the picture, the picture was changing, and I could just see these like dots on the screen. I'm like, what's that? And it was six flies. I counted them.
Tiny, like
so,
really small.
It's like weird.
They're fucking pissing me off.
So
I bought plants. I've got plants. I'll allow that. Apparently eat them. Apparently.
Venus flytraps.
There we go. That'll do it. Val Venus needs to get his fucking moon on again, like, because there's no happening. Like
big spiders and all at the minute.
There's still loads.
Oh, spiders!
At the minute, like,
I can't deal with.
There was one in my kitchen last night cooking up a 3-course meal. I swear to God, I'm not joking here. It was that big. And I'm not bothered about spiders, but I seen it. I was like, whoa!
Aye.
See it.
Can you just go and pick one up, like?
What I did was I opened the back door because it was like
told to get out.
The back door was.
Oh wait, mate.
It was like on the side panel at the end of the units next to the door. So I opened the door and like flicked it out, and I could literally see it walking across the decking, like out the back. I thought, Jesus, huge.
Whoa, I can't be dealing with this. I don't bother me. But I've got this thing with spiders. I'm a little bit the same as that. Like with like Chavas and that. Like if I leave them alone, I trust that they'll
they'll show you the same respect.
I was going to my bedroom this morning. I thought, well, I'm not going to, because Amy hates spiders. Like, I was above the door, and I thought, I'll just not mention it, because if I mention it, she's going to go wild. I've got to then sort it out. So I thought, right, I reasoned with it. You say, well, how, mate? Like, look, you've had a good night. Forecast salary for the tomorrow. Get yourself out. It was by the front door when my dad dropped the bin. My dad's had Malfi the day, and as he was leaving, the spider was by the front door. So I'm assuming he's just getting his stuff together, like.
Fucking off.
Moving out for
it, it's been up just for bank holiday weekend. I've just been and all that. Like, so
I'm not great with spiders. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not good with them. Like,
I don't mind them, but they're just too agile.
Aye.
Like if you pick one up, like if you pick me up by my leg, I'm like, oh for fuck's sake, you've got it. But a spider can kind of do all that carry on. Like I think
I suppose it's not going to fucking bite you on it, was it?
Oh, they do.
Some of them do. Like,
some of them do.
Do they?
Aye.
Well, that was that big one. But normally when you see them when they're massive, they're quite spindly.
Pretty docile. Like
this fucker was.
When you seen it was that long, what was the body like?
So that was its like leg span. Is that like a thing? Leg span, and then its body. Like I'm telling you, it was like my thumb, like just in the middle. But its legs were like, that's what I was just about to say. It like they're normally quite spindly.
You can get the ones that are like the bodies.
That was massive. Like it had thick legs and lot. Was wearing shoes, a pair of tights, everything.
I would have just stood on that immediately.
You get the ones where the bodies are tiny, but the legs are then big, long, like you say, like really like slender things.
This was thick everywhere.
I'll take your word for that. Like
on steroids. But it must be something in the weather at the minute, making everything big.
Well, they're full of horn, aren't they? That's a problem.
I've heard. Yes.
You know when you see them coming in,
six-stalled spiders.
You've got the 8 legs, so there's the 8 legs, and they've got like 2 bits at the front, and they look like talons, but they're not. That's when they're ready to gun, like.
Oh really?
They're coming in looking for some for some spider loving.
Bit of female accompaniment.
Well, I don't know if they're the male or females. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. It's not like a cock. That I'm aware of, it might be.
2 cocks, imagine that.
A dog with.
Welcome to Animal Planet, everybody.
Look at that.
I'll show you later on.
So this week we're not talking about garlic bread specials or foods. We're talking about wildlife. But in other news, just when you thought your Monday couldn't get any better, that you're seeing our smiley faces here recording, what on earth has gone on at Newcastle United?
Well, it's a funny one because, last week I think I said, because obviously we were quite down in the dumps a bit last week, I was certainly, and I think I said, if we sign X, Y, Z, probably next week when I do it, I'll be dead happy. And exactly that has happened, because the transformation that I feel within, well, to be fair, remainder of the week was still the same, to be honest with you. It was only the last 48 hours or whatever where everything seemed to just, really gather pace, and it's just been unbelievable, hasn't it, right? It's like, considering what we're used to, this has been pretty special, like, I think.
That's it. So was this Tuesday night last week we recorded, wasn't it?
It was Tuesday, yeah.
And I think we did spend a bit of time talking about potentially signing Wilson and Fraser, and the one that's obviously came out of the blue over the last few days as well is the left back from Norwich.
That wasn't even a thing, right?
So we didn't even mention that one because I think we'd been...
Jamal Lewis, it was Rodrigo.
Yeah, Lewis, we'd been is it Rogerio or Rogerio?
Is it Rogerio? I'm not sure.
And we'd be linked with the Greek left back as well at the time.
Oh, we did call him.
Yeah,
we talked about him, and then
we talked about how I hadn't heard of him.
That's it.
Yeah,
so
basically. Yeah.
God knows where this one's totally came out of the blue with the Norwich link. But if we start with the two signings in a day,
Right.
so the first one to be announced is our new striker from Bournemouth, Callum Wilson.
You normally say Bournemouth, right?
Nah, well, to be fair, it depends. It depends if I think about it or not. I'll go Bournemouth or Bournemouth.
I'm Bournemouth man, like, but then
So-
one of the lads, Tom Lynch, made a point on Twitter earlier saying, but you'd say like Tynemouth or Almouth,
Yeah.
which I would totally.
Yeah.
But Bournemouth,
I'd say Portsmouth as well.
Wearmouth.
Monk Wearmouth.
Would you say Portsmouth or Portsmouth?
Portsmouth?
Portsmouth.
That's
It's
the thing,
funny actually.
It just depends.
When I seen the debate on Twitter, I was in bed actually at the time, and I'm lying in bed going Bournemouth. I'm trying to think what I would say. I can't remember what I do say, but anyway, to your point, yes, Callum Wilson, new striker in. I'm just interested to know your opinion because I haven't spoken to Besty at all, even on WhatsApp or out. So I just what's your initial thoughts on it?
Callum Wilson, I think it's a great signing. I really do. I mean, he hasn't necessarily been the most prolific of strikers in the last year or two, but again, he's been in a relegated side, so there's kind of mitigation there. Like, but I like the look of him. He's strong, he's quick, and he's a canny finisher. He's exactly what if we had him up front last season, as opposed to Joelinton, we wouldn't have been. Well, we would have finished higher in the league. Let's just say that.
Because we were never in trouble. Is that
Well, not
in a
really.
way
Yeah,
we
we had the week or two where we were in the bottom after the Leicester game, and a couple of. I mean, he wouldn't have made a massive difference there, I don't think. Like, but I do think that he pops in and gets half dozen to 10 goals in the season.
Yeah.
And they're match-winning goals, and you look.
Because there's still a few games I remember from last season where, don't get us wrong, there were poor games, but you just needed that tiny bit of quality that might have get more over the line. I think Burnley away, for example, stands in my mind where it was just shitty draws where if you just had that person that could stick the ball in the net, you
Killer instinct, innit? That's
you
what
might
you
have come away with a 1-0 win. And a few 3 points would have changed a lot.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Mark? Sorry, what do you think?
Same. I think, as Bessy's just said there, he's always looked that he's quite strong and powerful, even though he's not particularly massive in stature. He still looks quite solid.
Yeah.
He's handsome, like.
He's
He's a good-looking lad.
He's a good-looking guy.
No
like.
mistake.
So I think he's got that physicality that you're going to need as a striker in the Premier League up front. Seen obviously some of the goals that he scored, where he uses that strength. He seems to have a decent bit of touch about him. Pace, there's maybe question marks over his pace a little bit with him having a couple of bad injuries in the last few seasons. That's maybe impacted him a little bit, which you would come to expect. But you would think with him getting a good run of games and that kind of thing is he can only get better from what he's kind of put in performance-wise last season. I think one of the comments he made himself today was that he was quite disappointed in his goal tally last season, and that he didn't want to associate himself with it, and that if he wasn't getting into double figures, then he basically counted that as a failure. So
Did he get to the 7 he got last season? 6?
8, I think,
8.
maybe. So
I think his best season, I think, came with alongside Fraser. Well, it's not alongside him, but I mean certainly part of that attack.
well, it was when they had both had a very good season together.
And last season Fraser didn't kick a ball, from what I remember. Certainly a lot of it. So maybe that's something to do with it. Like, but I mean, I think it's amazing. Like, to be honest, I really do. I agree he's not necessarily prolific if you look at his record, but you're getting a player which has got experience in the league, which I think is something we've talked about so many times. Trying to get a player that has done it in this league or at least been in the league, it's an absolutely no-brainer. It's a surprising signing, if I'm honest. It's just, I think I texted you and said the same. It's the type of player that I thought maybe Everton, Villa, for example, weren't interested. It's that type of. Normally these players go there, and I'm normally sitting pissed off, going, "Why aren't we going after these type of players?" And this time, we're the one that's getting it, which is fantastic.
I was reading a tweet a day or two ago, obviously before it was all confirmed and stuff, but apparently Fraser, I mean, Wilson will come to Fraser and Lewis later on probably. That Bruce wants them, and it's a bit of a byproduct of the scouting staff being furloughed.
All right, okay.
I think Steve Nixon, I don't know if Nixon's at work, but there's like some of the scouting staff aren't there, so they've said to Bruce, well, just get who you want in, like, not get who you want in, but that he's got more influence now over who's coming in.
Really, yeah?
Aye. So it's a kind of weird byproduct of like, what's going on.
It is a weird one, because I can't really imagine actually being that sort of.
That might be bullshit. Like,
what's the word? Like
giving
going
them that
away,
much
like,
control.
yeah,
after-
like
yeah.
just because I've been on furlough, well, you have a wee one, Steve. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how I feel. But I've said a few times, I think to you as well, is that like I get it, right? I do get it. That Bruce has a lot of frailties and lacks a lot, right, as a manager. But I'm sure what I've said, and we've agreed that he might be the person that can just kind of get on Ashley's side. Like, I'd imagine him having a pint with Ashley, if I'm being honest with you. And I reckon like he might be able to chat to Ashley and get him on side more than what, because Rafa was political with the media, rightfully so. I'm not blaming Rafa for that. I just mean that Rafa had got interviewed a few times, and I reckon Ashley would have been sitting really pissed off with the way that he went on, and maybe went against Rafa more than anything, you know, which was the wrong thing to do. But I don't know. Maybe Bruce just gets on with them quite well, and I agree though. It's pleasing to see that the manager's been able to go after the targets that he's wanted, and all of the targets that we've gotten so far. Fraser will come on to Lewis, for example. They're really exciting.
I think the players that come in to areas that we all know the team's deficient in as well.
Yes.
Obviously, Joelinton, much maligned, we've talked for hours now about him, like of what he doesn't bring as a centre forward. Quality into the box has always been a problem. Fraser goes a long way to solving that. I think his delivery's cracking. And how long have we needed? We've had Paul Dummett at left back since I think 2013.
Spawn.
And Lewis, apparently, I mean, but I'd be astonished if he ever didn't get like announced very shortly. There we go. There's a new lad, was 21, 22-year-old.
Yeah. He's brilliant, him, you know.
He looks apart, looks really good. I'd like to see what he.
Every time I watched him play, it was Cantwell and him.
Yeah.
With the two, I'd go, Christ, they're good players.
Aye. And then if you've got like St Maximin on one side as well, you've got Miguel Almiron can play behind the front man. Joelinton can do something off the bench, maybe even come on. He's okay, I think he's okay, a bit deeper. Obviously, what he
Getting
called
excited here,
a
mate.
little bit. Jeff Hendrick in centre midfield now as well.
Yeah.
Well, that was the other one I was just going to say, is that you know we're talking about, we've now got a really kind of attacking, creative front, and we've also now got in that other position where we've always talked about is the centre of the park, and we've got Hendricks that's, you know, potentially coming in there. We've seen nothing of him really yet in there, but he's definitely going to bring competition for places, because really it's been Shelby and Hayden, you know, written all over it, unless there's been an injury or a suspension or something like that. And then one of the Longstaffs has came in, or the latter part of the season, Bentaleb came in. So we've certainly looked at the positions where we've looked to have frailties, or looked to where we've needed to strengthen, and we'll seem to have done that this summer. Yeah. I think that the standout thing for me with this Wilson one is it seems to be quite a change of policy from the club, and Ashley, if he's kind of got the final say on it, because he's no spring chicken. He's not particularly old or over the hill, but you know he's certainly in the latter stages of where we would normally sign a player age-wise.
28.
He's 28, moving into 29 in February.
So he's 29 then.
So he's 28 till he's 29.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
Well, yeah, I put it on Twitter. I don't know if that's why you referenced that, but I put it on Twitter and someone commented straight away, he's 28. Like straight away, because I put he's 29. And I went, sorry, yes, true, I've checked, he's 29 in February. But I was talking to Adam just before I don't know if you haven't seen the Tottenham documentary, but they're on about when Danny Rose is going to come to us. That's the debate Daniel Levy's having with Mourinho. And Mourinho asks who's after Rose, you know, and he goes, oh, well, Bournemouth want him. I've just said Bournemouth, haven't I? Yeah. So Bournemouth, yeah, I would, sorry. But yeah, so Bournemouth want him, and they'll sign him definitely if they stay up. Newcastle, however, I'll have him on loan, but they'll definitely not sign him, because he's not. Them have a policy of if they're over 26, they won't sign him. So it's interesting. Daniel Levy's saying that. Well. So you know what I mean. So that was a policy, and I totally agree with what you're saying. Is that's changed certainly on this signing for a lot of money, right? For us, for a lot of money. You know what I mean? So
I'm surprised it wasn't more. So I don't know whether or not that's played into it a little bit.
There was talk of 30 million, wasn't there? Yeah. Literally 10 days, a week ago. It was 30 million, and Matt Ritchie was going to be a make weight. I'm pretty sure we talked about that actually.
We did. Yeah.
So to get him for 20, was it 20, 21?
20 million, rising to 25, I think, is with add-ons.
That's a great bit of business, that, like. It's a really good bit of business.
I agree, yeah. So I'm surprised there wasn't more competition, if I'm being honest.
Well, that's it. It only seems to be between us and Villa, and the fact that he's a Coventry fan, born and bred there, kind of straight away ruled that out.
Helps, like.
So that's nice. Some shitting on the Villa for us. So that's pretty decent. But I think it does show a bit of intention from us to go out and actually spend spend more money on a striker. Certainly one, as you say, Deka, that's got experience in the Premier League, has got the ability to do it. So I think it gives him a great platform to go on and go and try and get and break into those kind of figures that he's looking to score in a season, and can only be a good thing for it.
Definitely. I mean, you're saying that it's like unusual for them to do it this way and for to get a 28-year-old for £20 million. How do we know it's not Michael Chopper who's giving it the green light? Change coming, lads. There's a change coming.
There's a few people being saying that, isn't it? That it's
There
not
is
actually
still
them, it's someone
there
else.
is still lots of talk in the social media world about this change of policy, and could it be that there's still stuff going on behind in the background?
No. What do you think, Besty?
I think it might be. I don't know. I mean, does anyone know apart from the people involved? I think it's possible. Like, aye. I've heard nothing that suggests that. I'm not ITK. Out
just
like
you're good.
Flies in, man. Flies.
There's loads. Huh?
Feed on your eye juice.
Go for it.
But it's possible. Like,
Tears of joy this week, though, not tears of sadness.
as long as it's above the waist, it's all right.
For me, no. I'm not. I think all that's done and dusted and gone.
I think that's probably the most likely, but it's still a little thing.
I'm wrong, of course, but it's. I just think it's been a really good day. And you think of the negative stuff and the feeling that we've had at the end of the season and takeover not happening and just so much crap, right? And today's been mint. To be honest with you, it's been
what a
mint.
difference a week makes, eh?
It does, yeah. I mean, it doesn't overcloud how bad pre-season's been. If I'm being honest, which I've no doubt we'll touch on. It's been embarrassing, to be honest with you, in my opinion. And I remember, and I hate that idea, but I hate talking about
Could the pre-season that we've had have maybe impacted some of the decisions that needed to be made at a board level to invest more in the
Well, I would
squad?
imagine Bruce, I mean, I've watched his interview when they got beat 1-0 off Stoke, and he says, listen, it's been a shocker. He admitted it's been terrible. We've had injuries, we've had players dropping like flies. People have returned that haven't been ready that he thought they would be, and he was banging the drum a little bit that it's shit. But he was hoping that they'd have some irons in the fire, so to speak. And probably that the results have been poor, performances have been poor. Apparently Sells is kicking off after the Borough game.
Yeah.
That's why he got sent off. Apparently he was that pissed off, he was just kicking off.
During the game as well, one of the goals, you can see him having a go.
It's worrying. That's what's worrying, is because that's only 11 days to go at the start of the season, and you're seeing this type of arguments between the players, and they're obviously not pulling the weight. But then you look at, there's other teams haven't exactly had a great pre-season either. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it is just a friendly. It doesn't really mean anything. So
it's easy to read too much into it, I think. And it's weird as well. We've got the Nations League thing happening at the minute. We've got an international break, the last week of pre-season.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It doesn't normally happen. So we haven't had. I'm assuming Shers. Oh, he's knackered and he's got his shoulder.
Yeah,
I was going to say I thought he'd be away.
Lejeune, I think, needs a hell of a lot of time. A lot of game time to try and get back up to.
I really like Lejeune, but I think the injuries are starting to. Maybe the injuries have. Buggered him a little bit because he's had a couple of shockers since he's been here.
Well, we spoke, I'm going to go back 2 years maybe, but we all said that at the time we could see him moving on. I seen him maybe going to Tottenham or something. Honestly, I did. I could see him in a Tottenham side with,
He's a good footballer.
But now with these injuries, no one's going to probably want him because of the injuries, and unfortunately for us, we're lumbered with him now. But it would be great for him to come back. I'd love him to, but I just can't see it, if I'm honest, because there's a lot of injuries.
I still think he's probably the best defender we've got at the club. He just hasn't.
Would you say now?
Hasn't shown it in the last 6 months of last season. Well, not that bad, 6 months of the season, but the last half of the season kind of thing, because
has he been fit?
Things just didn't work.
I think it's fitness. I think is the one. See, Fernandes for me, current form, current standing is now.
Yeah.
But you see, opinion changes a lot over games, and I remember I thought Shea was. I sat here and said Shea was the best thing since sliced bread, and now I say Fernandes is. You know what I mean? We had a time where
Clark was this time last season. Clark was pulling up.
I'm sure we wouldn't have even had Lascelles in this team at one point.
No,
absolutely. Definitely been times I've said
definitely sat there and discussed that.
But then you hear these things of punching the army and having to go after the Borough game. You then realise actually really that's why you're in. Yes, don't get us wrong, you might not be technically the best in the world, but you are there to sort of drag them.
He's like a proper captain, and
it seems like
he's got his kind of even at Southampton before he was captain, the relegation season when he had to go at Yarman. Was it Yarman who punched a hole in the wall or something like that?
It was a famous interview from him,
wasn't it?
No,
Southampton away.
Yeah.
Could be 3-0, I think, or maybe it was 3-1 because I think Townsend scored.
And he got interviewed at the end and just went to town.
The Cells, that's right, he did, because he said some blokes just aren't doing what they had to be doing,
they're not representing the shirt.
And I think that was occasion when Rafa said, right, you're my captain, that's it.
Which was
Yeah, me man.
amazing, really.
Aye.
Tells you a lot about his character, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Definitely does, aye.
Yeah, it does.
But with Wilson, we've heard from him today a few interviews and stuff like that. So inspiration to joining Newcastle was sitting down with his son to watch Santiago scoring for Newcastle.
That's been used a lot of times, right? This goal thing.
Aye, yeah.
Like, I've heard a few signings say, "Oh, goal." I hear a lot of people say that.
So there's been some breaking news today. So George Colkin
Oh yeah.
hasn't seen Goal the movie. Mark
Douglas.
Douglas
hasn't,
from the
yeah.
Evening Chronicle hasn't seen Goal the movie.
And you haven't.
Deka, have you seen Goal
Oh,
the movie?
I loads of times.
I've seen Goal the movie.
Oh.
Bestie, have you seen Goal the
Have you
movie?
not
I've never
Goal?
seen Goal the movie, no. I've never seen it.
Hey, I thought he'd be the type that would have watched that. Like.
I've never. I vaguely know it's Santiago Munez and Gavin Williams and Anna Friel's.
Gavin Harris.
Gavin Harris.
Come on.
Oh, he's an MP, isn't he? Gavin Williams, Gavin Harris. And Anna Friel pops up at some point, like in the ends, we can't to Real Madrid and can't to World Cup, but no, I don't know the.
I'm going to watch it again. Like.
It's brilliant.
Aye.
Yeah. It is good.
Is
it actually brilliant?
It is a good film.
No,
It's not like
brilliant.
it's not going to win any Oscars or anything like that. but
Wait,
it's got a good
15 years after release.
feel-good story
release.
to it.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's alright. It's alright. Yeah.
I've never. I'm sure I was there. Is it a Liverpool game?
Liverpool
with the
game.
film?
I've
I'm
definitely
sure I
was
was
in
at
the
that
crowd
one.
when that was getting recorded.
Yeah.
I remember them coming on the pitch at half time and stuff like that.
Aye.
So
Yeah. No, it's alright. I mean, he's right. It's like a feel-good type of film, but it's nice that obviously we're involved in that sense.
Yeah.
It's never going to win out, but we won't.
won't.
But I know it's alright. But it's surprising that there's a few players that have signed going. Oh, I'm sure did Sain say it about Goal? I'm sure Sain said it as well.
I
You
don't
know,
know.
Sure.
I'm sure he said it. There's a few players anyway. I remember saying, "Oh, I remember Goal." And you're like,
Yeah.
fucking hell, that's it. So you pitch us to the time Bridges ain't working. It's fucking Goal. That's what it is. Just send them copies of
Send them
DVDs of
copies of
fucking Goal.
DVDs
Like.
of Goal.
Yeah, that seems to be working.
But that's it. The other good thing that he mentioned was the fact that Shearer had texted him as well
Yeah.
to chat to him about the move, and they'd had conversations about moving up to Newcastle and what he could expect.
Well, he mentioned that I remember he was getting interviewed for England, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
he mentioned Shearer had texted him about being shit, I think it was, and it actually coming good. So you knew that he was going to message him now,
Yeah.
which is great. And that's what you want Shearer to be doing, right? Like
He's kind of working as an ambassador without being employed by the.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
that.
interesting as well because obviously the relationship that he's got at the moment with our owner and that kind of thing is that he's exiled from the club unless he's going into his box to watch it or if he's working. So, but he's still, GEORDIE at heart and
course he
wanting
is.
to get somebody in and talk them positively.
He likes
about
Bruce
the
as
place.
well, doesn't he? Shearer, he
Yeah,
likes
Good
Bruce.
friends,
Bruce
yeah,
like
good
that.
friends.
So he
apparently,
probably,
so
he wants to try for him.
Have they still got that big fiberglass statue of him in the Leazes?
Phil Shearer.
Shearer, aye.
Oh, I don't go in the Leazes, so
I've not been around that way for years, but there used to be, there's like a big glass kind of, I'd taken off as a staircase, and it was like basically one of them, but 6 foot tall.
Oh, is it in there
yes.
when you walk under the thing and
Aye.
it's like that
Aye.
up to like the
It's-
sports club
that's
bit?
not there anymore.
Aye.
It's gone, I'm
it's
assuming it
gone.
had like,
Oh,
but,
yeah,
I took
Aye.
the bin for her first game for Leicester in the Cup. We got beat on pens this season. And we went up that way because that's the new sports bar or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there, like, from what I remember.
So speaking of Shearer, a lot of the chat today has been about the number 9.
oh yeah, I'm trying to work
So
out.
Bestie, would you give him the number 9?
Yep.
You would?
No problem. No problem at all.
Heartless, straight in
No,
there.
I think he'll do Joelinton good as well, because Joelinton would probably tell you himself that he's not a like a kind of a cutting edge goal machine, like, you know what I mean. So I'll give it Andy Carroll. Before, I think I said this on either with us or with Neil a few weeks ago. Like when there was talk of I think Gale might be, or who was it? Either way, I'll not give it to Carroll and give Joelinton number 7, so he hasn't got that the shirt weighing heavy and all that. So I'd have no problem at all giving it to Callum Wilson, like, and give Joelinton whatever. Give him whatever he wants. Give him that 40 million.
Well, that's, I mean, he wears number 13 at Bournemouth.
Well, but that's Muto's number.
I can't be
can't take it off.
And that would be,
Gonna take it off
would be
Yoshi.
so disrespectful to come in and just expect Muto to hand it over like that, like after all he's contributed.
Oh.
What about you, Deka? Would you?
Within a heartbeat, actually, but I think a decent conversation has to happen first, because I think there's two ways to look at it, isn't it? One side of it is just saying that it'd be a relief for Joelinton. The pressure's removed from him. He can just concentrate on his own game, etc., etc. The other sides could be, fuck, man, you even take the number offers in one season. You don't believe in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, just for a laugh, we're talking about your Toure with a birthday cake.
Yeah.
You know, players can be weird, right? And just need to make sure the conversation's right. And if Callum Wilson wants it, I mean, he might feel pressure. Hopefully it's a good pressure, you know. I would do it. I think it would be a good decision. I really do.
I think Wilson would want it, like.
Yeah.
He seems the type, I think, yeah.
It will be, I'd want him to want it. I'd want him to think, right, because the Newcastle number 9 shirt, obviously we all know what it represents and kind of how important it is, but it goes beyond, it's not quite Liverpool's number 7 or Man U's number 7, but it's got a similar kind of, I think in football the understanding is that Newcastle number 9 is special, in inverted commas.
I agree.
I think Wilson will think, right, I want to go, and if I can get that, get a few goals, get the crowd on side, that's it, I'm laughing.
There's something you mentioned before. It seems to me that Wilson judges himself and wants to score goals.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the morning wanting to score, whereas I feel Joelinton is not that type, and that's not, you know, we shouldn't have paid 40 million for him. That's as simple as that. But I think Wilson, from what you were saying there, if he doesn't hit double figures, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Joelinton would think like that, personally. I mean, he might do, I don't know, but Wilson to me seems like a goal scorer that wants to score goals. Yeah. And I think if you give him that, it's giving him that, hopefully that next edge or that belief of like, I want to be top man, do you know what I mean? Which is all you can ask for, right?
I'm of the same opinion with Wilson. I think that if he's got the 9, it's going to give him a massive boost and want to go on and do even more.
Yeah.
Because of the fact of what the number 9 means up here, the fact that he's had the conversations with Shearer and stuff like that. But then when I look at it from the side of Joelinton, when you see that player at times in the last season, you can just see how low on confidence he is and that kind of thing. And I just think, will that damage his confidence even more to think that I've been getting, you know, a load of shit this season, people telling us constantly I'm not good enough, and then to have the number 9 shirt taken away, it just rubber stamps the fact that I'm not good enough to be playing in there.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I've just said. The other thing you're hoping is that in himself he might think, you know, is actually there's a new target guy, there's a new guy coming in, which might completely remove the pressure, all of it from him. And we all hope, obviously, that might make him a better player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hopefully. But I would give him the number 9 shirt. What I was going to say is, we've spoke about him very nicely and everything's going to be great. As a team, we have to be better moving forward, going forward, to provide the striker. Yeah. Because if it's the same old shit that we've been saying, it doesn't matter who you've got up front.
That's it.
Honestly, it doesn't matter who you've got up front. Yeah, Wilson will just be hung out to dry like the rest of them. We'll have to make sure that Fraser, for example, Saint, all the rest of them, as a team, we'll provide the striker and give him more support.
Yeah,
because if we don't,
right.
it's not
that's the key thing, because we can sign Wilson, put his name up in lights, give him the number 9 shirt, but if he doesn't get the ball, he ain't going to score, and we're in the 100%. Same position that we've been in for the last 3-4 seasons.
You could put Shearer in his prime up there.
Yeah.
And you're not going to score.
On his own, like I know. That was the thing, and we sat around here and said it a few times last season, with Joelinton, for all, there was a lot he would do that wasn't great or didn't kind of inspire much confidence. You give him the ball and he's got no one within 20 yards of him. Yeah. What's he going to do? Yeah. You know, you can't, there aren't many players like say Shearer couldn't do it. Rondon would have struggled with Rondon. In the end, had the support of Almiron and Perez, and they were massive for him. Rondon, I thought, had a great season. But those two kind of, when Almiron came, you could see how much it just clicked. That last 6 months, Newcastle great at times. And I think that's the thing with Wilson. If you've got him, Almiron playing off maybe you've got Saint on one side, Fraser on the other. But there's, I think Fraser and Saint are both left sided, aren't they? Predominantly. Like,
well,
do you move Saint to the right?
Saint can play left or right, but
Saint's right footed.
He actually prefers to.
Fraser, isn't he? And Fraser's right footed as well, isn't he?
He is right, but
he plays off the.
He plays off the left. He comes in like what Saint does now.
Yeah.
But
Saint's the highlights of him actually playing on the left and whipping it with his left foot.
I think he can use either foot, but he's right-footed, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But Saint can play right, no doubt about that. Because I've seen a few people comment today going, "Oh, does that mean Saint's can?" And all this, I'm like, "Whoa, man, he can play right." Yeah. However, Saint said, I remember on a few interviews, that he prefers to play as a 10. He'd rather come to the middle, but I can't see that. I do think he'll be out wide, and Miggy will be in the 10 role.
That seems to work better. I think you're playing more to Almiron's strengths by doing that. Almiron's not really, for me, for all his pacey, I don't think he's much of a winger. But through the middle, he's dangerous.
He keeps him more involved, doesn't he? And keeps him busy and being able to pick up the ball. And
you would also expect. I don't know. You know, you might be able to change wings. I'm a big fan. I think I've said this too many times. If swapping the wings every 15, 20 minutes, you know, just to give the fullback a headache. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Saint might go over left a few times and Fraser right, and it's for once it's a nice headache to have. You know, you know what I mean? We've normally had Atsu or Saint, or now we're going to have Fraser or Saint, or whatever that might be. And I think it's just been a. I think Bessie said at the start, like we've done the signings which make sense for the positions that we've needed to strengthen, and that's surprising. Normally, if it is the scouts that's choosing, we're signing like 4 right backs in a window, and you're like, we didn't need 4.
Well,
or whatever it is.
we could
like,
sign 3 left backs if we're if we go ahead with all the ones that we've been linked with and apparently are moving forward.
I was thinking that they reckon Dummett's not back to fitness. Ritchie, I've been hearing rumours wants to move back down south now. I don't know how true that is, but I did see
He's
some.
that for years now. He's not very happy. He hasn't never really been happy up here.
So then that's leaving you with Dummett. Or well, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe I actually wouldn't mind another one, if I'm being honest. I would also, the right-hand side of the field is maybe, if you can cart off a few, Joelinton, your Crafts, and try and get...
Well, we've got
Mankio's
three right backs, haven't we? With Joelinton, Mankio and Kraft.
I'm not sold on any of them. I mean about moving the club forward.
Yeah.
I'm not. Whereas I think Lewis is just such an upgrade on what's been available, or what we've had.
I'm not massive. I think Mankio's got to be the first choice. I mean, from what we've seen.
Yeah.
I think he'll start the season.
I think he will as well. I think Joelinton will probably go.
Yeah,
He's been here a while. I think Kraft, because he came in last summer, they might give him a bit more time.
Yeah.
But Joelinton's been here since 2016, since the championship. And he's done his job. He's done what he got him back up, and he's just...
He's only 4 million as well.
Yeah.
He's a cheap signing, and he has abundances of pace, doesn't he? And that's why you stay excited. I love players with pace, and unfortunately it seemed to just dwindle away for him.
He's quite good in the air for fullback as well, but his position isn't great.
Poor position.
Position has always been a problem with him.
Very poor.
And that's always been a thing when people say about his pace, is that he gets him out of trouble a lot.
Of course it does that. Yeah. I used to say it was Rafa that used to tell him this, and I think I was wrong actually. But he used to be very narrow, very narrow, and then would allow the ball to go out left, and he'd think, "Oh, I'm fast enough to get there."
Yeah.
And a lot of the, I look at the goal at the weekend there. We'll just
How
touch on it
many
briefly.
times we conceded a goal like that over the top of him?
Me, that's shocking. That is shocking, right? From Joelinton and from Darlow. And that's again what worries is. I know I don't want to be negative at all really on this one because it's been a positive day, but there's still areas of the field that we need to get sorted. Like and I haven't got much trust in my right backs. I haven't got much trust in my keeper, apart from Dubravka, of course. So there's just and pre-season's been poor. I'll say it again. Pre-season hasn't been great. So it's not all solved, but again, touching on what we said before, the club have tried to sign players that have got experience in the division and strengthening the positions that we need to strengthen. Yep. And it's been so far one of the most successful windows I can remember, to be honest.
It probably has. It's weird that we've only signed 3 players.
Yeah.
And 2 of them on a free as well. But I agree that completely that it's
4.
Come on, Matty.
Well, 5 if you include him.
There's still going to be more. There's still going to be
keeper.
Keeper. Yeah.
Hendricks.
Gillespie.
And then obviously with Fraser and Wilson today.
as well. Yeah, I forgot about Gillespie there.
There's still going to be more, I think, as well.
Well, we're definitely going to get
Lewis.
Jamal Lewis in tomorrow. So the breaking news just before we started recording was that he's left the Northern Ireland squad.
Yep.
He's not playing tonight, so he's travelling to Newcastle during the night. Probably not through the night, but he's going to be here first thing tomorrow to have his medical and signing and all that kind of thing. So again,
brilliant.
very
good,
positive
really
stuff.
Good signing, yeah.
So
great signing that, mate. Honestly, I think it's an amazing.
I think the one with Fraser. Obviously, he was in Newcastle on Friday, having a meeting with Bruce, having a look around the place, and I think in all likelihood it was probably all agreed there and then. But the noise today was that he wanted to make sure the Wilson one was over the line and done before he kind of committed to it.
I think it was all just done so that the Twitter account could get that, Ryan Fraser thing in, like
But yeah, so obviously we signed Callum Wilson this morning, Ryan Fraser just earlier on this evening, and then Jamal Lewis incoming tomorrow.
It's great,
madness, isn't it?
It's really good.
Got a few days. It feels a bit like. I think Shell mentioned it in our group chat earlier, but when we signed all the French lads in, like in that mad half hour,
minutes, it was weird, that wasn't it?
It feels like that way. Mind, I remember, maybe it's a little bit of caution. I remember at the start of one season when we signed.
It's McLaren season that has alarm bells for me.
That was one of them. The other one for me was the year we got Perez, Cabela, De Jong, Colback. There was a few more, and I thought Riviere came that year as well. I thought, that's got some of that. It was not a good.
I think what proves your point, and I agree, is that Riviere, Cabela, like I still feel it, and I'll say it again. We're getting proven players in this league.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah,
and that's where it sways us. I'm like, that's what I expect from us is we'll take a chance on Riviere for a few million or whatever it might, or 10 million or whatever. And this time we're buying players that we all know and that have done it in the league, which is which is surprising, but I think fantastic news personally.
I do as well. Like there's part of us wouldn't mind trying to get Max Aaron from Norwich as well.
Oh, I like him.
He's a right
like
back,
him,
but then
yeah.
you think, I mean, they aren't going to be that keen on letting the 2 fullbacks go, and they want to come back up, you know.
Of course, yeah. I would say Campbell if we could, but that's just like.
Yeah. But Norwich, they
should get Tim Cullen.
their whole.
I'd rather have him as
I think
He'll
he'll still hang around down there, won't he?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that Norwich's whole model is to bring three players and then sell them on for a profit to keep themselves afloat and then kind of reinvest, isn't it? So, but basically, there's been a bit of talk around the fact that we're picking up players that have been released or sold from relegated sides. Does that cause you any concern?
Not especially, no. He made the point earlier, when we went down, went to Liverpool, and he's done all right since. He's won a Champions
Hasn't done
League.
bad. He's off to Barcelona.
Where it is, like, aye. So, I'm sure Barcelona, as soon as they see that he went down with us, will be going that. That's it, we're not getting him. We'll go for Jack Cole
That's
back
the stumbling block at the minute. That's why they haven't announced it. Is because, he did get relegated back with Newcastle.
Sissoko, even like Janmaat went to Watford, and he's not the greatest wing back in the world, but he's been steady at Watford. Like, he's been the first team there for, what's it now, 4 or 5 years. No, I'm not concerned at all. It's a different. If you're signing the whole 11 and the manager, you think could be an issue there. Like, but no, I mean, at the end of every season, I think we talk about it on here. There's always a conversation. It goes around Twitter, it's on the news, on Sky Sports. Which of the relegated teams players will you take? And I think a lot of people would have said Wilson, would have said Ryan Fraser, would have said Jamal Lewis. I've got no problem whatsoever with that. Like,
if I'm being honest, I think there's probably a few more out that Bournemouth team that could do a job in other ones. Yeah, well, funnily enough.
Well, that's what you do, though. I mean, Leicester did it when I always look at Bruce's signings. He bought Robinson and he bought Maguire, and then when they went down, Robinson went to Liverpool, Maguire went to Leicester, and then he went to Man United for fucking $1 billion. Like that's just what teams do, right?
Yeah.
You pick the best out of a shit bunch, and looking at where we are in the league and who we are, that's what we should be doing. Just cherry picking if Villa had went down, it was Grealish I would have wanted. Of course, we would have never signed Grealish at this, but I was talking about takeover talk. If Villa had went down, it would have been Grealish. Of course, you're going to cherry pick the better players.
Absolutely.
And anyone that has that opinion I had an argument with someone today about that, and I was just like, you're probably still wanking in your socks about Rondon. And Rondon was from a relegated club. We got him on loan. Sorry, I've done that 3 times. We're going from West Brom on loan, and he was relegated. He wasn't prolific at all in that division, and everyone turns out to love him. So just, let's just get behind them. And I think the great signings. I'd rather have your Wilsons and your Riviers. I 100% would. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It could happen, right? I remember. I'll tell you what. There's a signing that we did years ago that I fucking loved. Damien Duff.
Aye.
I remember we signed Damien Duff and thought, Jesus Christ, I love Damien Duff.
That was a great signing.
It was, at the time.
The day was aye.
And he was
until he buggered off when we got relegated.
He was horrendous. he was shite all the time anyway.
He scored my first goal in the Championship, didn't he?
Did he?
The Hawthorns, aye. 1-0 West Brom.
Oh, he did, that's right.
He left at the end of the transfer window, didn't he?
But if there is going to be transfers in life that just don't work out.
Well, look, when Leeds went down, look, Woodgate we got Milner.
That's right, yes.
Robinson went to Blackburn, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a stat about Milner I quite like today. If he plays, because Liverpool play Leeds, if he plays that game, he'll have played in Leeds' last 37 Premier League games, along with a bloke who's now 57.
No way.
Played that last game, David Seaman
Was
played.
that Seaman?
Played in Golf Man City. Leeds last game when we went down.
I was trying to think who it would have been. I was thinking like Chapman for some reason.
Chapman. Aye, but Milner had played Leeds' last 37 league games. I love that, mate.
Tony Yeboah, he's only about 23, isn't he?
Some goals he scored.
I did.
Real screamers, like. Yeah. But yeah, been a brilliant day, to be honest with you.
Positive day. Really still more news to come. Yeah. We've even potentially got other signings that are still being talked about, so there's still a lot of noise about Holden on loan for Arsenal.
I've heard someone say today, I saw on Twitter, someone saying that was
I think it was Keith Downey
on the back burner a little bit.
They maybe stepped away from it.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens at Arsenal with their signings.
I think the dressing room will be, like, the players will be really thrilled as well, you know what I mean? Because I think it's needed an injection of new players, but quality players. Yeah. And you would hope the players that are in there, now I've signed Callum Wilson, you know what I mean? You would expect that, you would hope that, so we'll just see what happens.
Well, I think that's Bruce said some comment along that line, is that it gives everybody a bit of a lift.
He said they needed it, didn't he? And then someone had to go saying, well, that's your job to give them a lift. I'm like, fucking hell, man. Jesus Lord, man. Like, just that way. for 5 minutes, just fucking lay off, like, do you know what I mean? Someone was having a go the day, saying like, oh, yeah, we've signed him, but we've still got Bruce's manager, so it means fuck all. And I'm like, can we not just have 5 minutes in the sun? Just 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, just let us enjoy the moment. Like, but what's funny is I did this as well. I went back and looked at this person's tweets, right? And he's going, we need a striker. If we don't get a striker, there's no point. We need a proven striker in this division. Sign a proven striker in this division. Well, it doesn't fucking matter anyway because we've got Bruce. Well, fucking, where do you get off, like? Where do you get off? Do you know what I mean? Like, Christ almighty. Sorry, I'm going to fucking kick off. So just end it now or do something.
End it now.
Because I'll just kick off.
Well, we're going to have a few questions. So there's a lot of questions that have came in, obviously. Everybody's buoyed somewhat by the transfer news that have been coming in and out. So we'll dive into those and have a few look at it. So Geordie Ridley, he's first off the mark with, does Bruce deserve credit for being the first manager to get Ashley to break his transfer mould and sign proven Premier League players in their peak, and in Wilson for a decent fee? Rafa was loved by the fans for standing up to Ashley, but at the end of the day, his stance got him nowhere. So, Deka, you talked about a little bit about that just earlier.
Is that all one tweet?
That's all one tweet.
I was thinking that as well, yeah.
He's definitely utilised his full letter allocation there.
I was going to say, no commas or full stop, just letters. I think it's very similar to what I said. And listen, I'm not, and I do not want to compare Rafa to Bruce, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, he does deserve credit because of what you've just said. He's broke the mould. And I've sat here and just said it's one of the most successful windows we've probably ever had under Ashley. So that also has to go to Bruce if he singled out these individuals.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not going to work. It doesn't, but I think you have to give him credit. And I think what I said before about Rafa, rightfully at the time, what he said in the press was correct. Don't get us wrong. But I just think that rubs them up the wrong way. And if you rub Ashley up the wrong way, you're going to get anywhere, unfortunately.
He's a stubborn get, isn't he?
He is, of course he is, yeah. Of course he is. And everyone calls Bruce a yes man. That puts that to bed a little bit, right? Because normally if someone knocks on his door and goes, I want to buy him for 20 million, he's 29 in February, fuck off. All right, no bother, boss.
Is that not just someone down at a chip shop saying, do you want butter? Yeah, do you want salt? Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, do you know what I mean? Well, that's me. That's normally
me, so I can't say it.
But do you know what I mean? So I do think he deserves a lot of credit, if I'm honest with you, for that.
I agree, yeah. And Bruce, I mean, it certainly wasn't my choice at the time. Still isn't really. I would rather have just someone better. Rafa, bring Rafa back.
Anyone.
No, but I find it a little bit odd. People won't give him credit. People just, it's almost as if people want the team to kind of fail just so they can say, but Bruce is shit, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I don't think Bruce is a fantastic manager, but in some of the football last season, I mean, they won 4 in the last 20, for some of the football was fucking awful towards the end last season. Well, all through last season. But on the strength of the players he's brought in, and bearing in mind before the window started, at the start of the window, people were saying they've got 35 million. Oh, that's it, you can't spend that way. And it's right that that's not enough money. Mm-hmm. The players that appear to be signing, Lewis, Fraser, Wilson, maybe more, are all still within that budget. I think that's brilliant. I think that's great going that way.
It really is, and that's a good point you made about the budget. To get what he's getting out of that budget is tremendous. And the point you make about people won't give him credit, I think some people are scared to go, oh, he's doing well here, because then all of a sudden they're worried in case they think, oh, you're saying Bruce is amazing. Well, we're not. I'm certainly not saying he's amazing. I'm just saying in this particular instance here, he deserves a lot of credit. And we might get humped the first 5 games, and then I'll be on his back. That's just, like, I'm not saying he's a great manager, but I believe that he deserves credit for that.
It's nuance, isn't it? Just because you're saying that, like, Callum Wilson's a good signing, you're not saying, oh, he's manager of the year.
Absolutely
It's
right.
people, you've got to have that kind of...
Well, I must say about social media, it's either this way or that. It's literally, you fucking full tilt, you're an absolute wanker, or he's the best thing ever.
It's like Patrick Swayze and Donnie Darko, where
Good analogy, that one.
No.
So, Bessie, you touched on this a little bit as well. What sort of
sorry,
role?
it's because you win that. I can't keep my hands on myself.
What sort of role do you see Joelinton playing next season, if any? Given today's signings and the fact that Wilson is to be given the number 9 shirt.
I think you're looking at Joelinton. He's not going to be a starter, is he? I mean, I don't think that's a secret or a kind of shock to say that. I think he'll be in the squad. I think he'll get him on the bench. And I mean, whether he comes on, if you want to beef up the middle of the park a little bit and he can sit a bit deeper, which we saw him doing towards the end of the season a bit, he might get involved with a bit of that. Like if you say, well, take Mickey off if they're a goal up and just kind of show things up a little bit. I like Joelinton. There's a lot he did last season that I thought was shite. He certainly isn't, he's not like a natural finisher. He's not like a Robbie Fowler who's just going to... Or even a Cisse. Cisse would just kind of see the goal and bang. If Cisse had to think about it, he was fucking shocking.
Aye.
Joelinton, I think he's got a role to play. I don't think he's worth £40 million in whatever role he plays, but I'd like to see. I love a redemption story, and I'd love to see Joelinton kind of just become that kind of just a squad player, like a kind of. It's not a like for like position wise, but Clarence Acuna was never like. He was never a fan's favourite. But I liked him. He was a good player.
Like Clarence.
And he was. I mean, he was at first team, so it's not quite a like for like thing. Like, but I'd love to see Joelinton kind of. But would he be happy sitting on a bench week in, week out when he could be?
Resurrection of Joe.
Aye.
For a club that doesn't spend any money, I think it's the most expensive sub there is.
Well, probably would be like aye.
Well, unless you're looking at some of the top teams.
Oh, Jesus and that. Fair enough. But I mean, like, you know, within our budget and what we are,
Yeah.
it's a hell of a lot of money.
Especially Villa, West Ham, they've spunked a fair bit of money on there.
Fulham did when they came up.
Fulham did as well, but
And they ended up with shit like Mitrovic.
I don't think anyone was 40 million sitting on the bench like.
Haller.
But he's not going
like
to
him,
start. He's not going to start, is he? And I tell you, I'm going to go away from the question a little bit. I think Gale will come back to be a problem that he's injured for as long as he is, because I think we're hanging our hats here on Wilson to play 38 games. Crack on.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fixtures are going to be shocking coming up. FA Cup's holiday. The whole fucking season's a mess, if I'm honest with you.
The next 2 seasons with the World Cup being when it is as well.
And I just think that Gale injury, you know, just could come back to bite.
Well, I think did
might be right.
that potentially again push the need to go out and sign Wilson even more. The fact that we're going to be without Gale probably until at least Christmas by the look of things. Until
it's another bullet point for your excuse to get him, isn't it?
It's another reason. We're going to be
3 months as well, isn't
get
it,
him
for
in.
him? You know, 3 months, and then
It's
he's
a
going
shame
to get
that.
back fit.
It's a real shame that for him.
It really is. But I think I agree with what Bessie's saying. Sorry about Joe maybe coming on and playing deeper. And he is an option if we do, because Carroll's not going to be an option all the time.
No.
And Wilson will not play every minute of every game. So Joelinton will eventually be up front again. Of course he will. But yeah.
Well, for me, it allows Joelinton to go back into the natural position where he's used to playing. The fact that when he was at Hoffenheim, he always played behind a striker, somebody that he had in front of him to be able to then, you know, take the game forward and have somebody to play off and give the ball to. We've always, in all of the good performances we've seen him, is always where he's came that little bit deeper and looked to then play the game and bring others in. So
I would love nothing more than we sitting here 4 or 5 months time and go, fuck me, them two up front. You know, I work as a tandem. I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that.
But Miggy's the thorn on the side there.
I think Miggy's got to be, for me.
It's between them two, isn't it? And totally different players.
I mean, we're assuming here that they're all staying. Like, you know, I mean, I wouldn't expect the Celtic Maximin. Is Miggy a target for someone you just don't know at this point? Do you know what I mean? It might be a reason that they're getting brought in. But
about saying
no, I obviously don't want him to, but that if one of those goes, if one of those kind of front, well, obviously Fraser won't go because he just signed today, and Wilson. But you've got like Almiron, ASM. They're both players who've done all right, and if they'll be attractive, there'll be someone looking at them. And if they were to go, then you think, well, that changes Joelinton's role in the squad. It changes maybe kind of Sean Longstaff. Sean Longstaff.
Yeah, because
Sean Longmouth.
It's a funny one because
changes his role.
Longmouth.
We spoke about him playing as a 10, right? He's better high up the field. So you know, there's another player you've got to try and fit in. So it's nice to think we've got options like
it is. I would just bin Matty Longstaff off.
Well, Lee Foster does ask that as well. He says, do you think the fat cockney bastard has a sting in the tail for NUFC in this transfer window? If decent money for Saint or Miggy is offered, would you be worried?
I'm going to say something here which is going to be incredibly controversial.
Ooh.
Incredibly controversial, yeah, right. And I want the answer, actually. I'm going to ask you a question, really. Take Andy Carroll out of the equation, 35 million, which I would have sold him at that point, even though I love him. I always hear, actually, he'll sell him. As soon as he gets a good offer, he'll sell him. Tell us a player that we've sold that he's done that with. Tell us someone that a bid's come in, he's got him straight away.
Cabaye went for less, but that was Kinnear rather than actually the sanction that one. But Cabaye went for less than was being touted.
Well, he called him kebab and he went on strike.
Yeah.
So there was issues there. There was issues there.
He wanted away rather than actually selling him.
Of course he did. He wanted
away. He did want away, the guy.
Sold the player on for a profit.
Yeah,
just to cash in.
Quick book. When's he done that?
Never for a quick book. I mean, you could save Wijnaldum. I mean, mitigating circumstances, and that we got relegated. But still,
we got relegated.
Yeah.
Again, I knew these ones were going to come because I've thought this. To be fair, he hasn't done it, man. He hasn't done it. And I've said he's a wanker, but he's never done. I say Dubravka apparently would have went 4 years ago. Oh, as soon as we get 20 million for him, be off. Never happens. It never happens. I've never seen it happen. And
That's a fair point,
people
to be
do
fair.
people do few people do throw the Wijnaldum on us, but I say, well, we got relegated, so that was a
There's
different
mitigating
scenario.
circumstances there. Like,
Honestly, I cannot tell you a player where we have signed someone and then let him go within a year for a profit.
Not for, yeah.
Never happened.
A player that would kind of, like, Perez went for a quite substantial profit, but he was there for like 5 years. Like, so
I would have drove him there for that money. Personally, I would have as well.
He struggled at Leicester as well a little
Shite,
bit.
he's shite.
I don't think he is shite, like, but he's
He was never that level.
we'll have to go into the Leicester podcast now, this argument, like, because he's got no place in our podcast anymore.
He's
like.
awful. But at that level. He's happy to us, but you can't have a Champions League, man. He ain't a Champions League player.
Go on the Always Smiling Foxes podcast and fucking
But listen, what was the question? Sorry again, I know I've run a bit off there.
You asked it?
What was that question? Oh, sorry, I apologise. What was that question? Oh, will someone go? No, absolutely not. No, I don't.
I'll be very surprised. Like, I'd be surprised. I think Ritchie might go. I think Yedlin might go. You're looking at players on the periphery. I don't think there's any first teamers. I mean, for all Ritchie and Yedlin were first teamers, you could say, like, but any of the kind of big names, if you want to call them that.
If 60 or 70 came in for max, like, there'll be an issue, right? There'll definitely be a consideration.
Yeah,
But it's not gonna
I honestly can't see him wanting to sell any of those players. We've definitely got to free up a bit of space in the squad. So some of those that are around the outskirts of it that aren't going to get a look in. So Sevilla is going to be away again. Lazaro's been told not to return.
If anything,
to the club.
The conversation, we kind of fucking get rid of players. If anything,
Muto.
That's the fucking problem.
Muto. I mean, I like Muto, but he doesn't get a chance.
Over two managers as well. This is what's key. I think when a new manager comes in and still doesn't pick you, something going on.
Aye. The opposite thing happened, and it's going back. Shola played for every manager,
Everyone.
except Keegan. Keegan farmed off the Stoke.
That's right.
Weirdly, but every manager fucking loves Shola.
Yeah, Robson gave him his chance, which fair enough, he's a young kid.
Aye.
But after that, yeah, you're right, everyone did actually.
Well, the only player that's being linked with a potential move away is Matt Ritchie, as you've just mentioned there. And Callum Lewis asks, what is your thoughts on Matt Ritchie? Do you see him leaving or staying now that his old teammates have arrived at Newcastle? How would you feel if Ritchie left?
That's a weird one. I hadn't really, obviously, knew he was a Bournemouth and all that, but I hadn't really thought about the kind that he's got two of his mates coming up now as well. Ritchie's a fucking chippy little fucker, so might not have been mates like, but
he's good mates with Andy Carroll.
Ritchie is he?
Yeah. They often have snooker evenings.
I would never let him go now.
Ritchie.
If it was part of the Wilson deal, I'd take it on the chin because it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
We need that position filled. Get rid of him.
But you had a great point the other day in the little chat that we have Bestie about
Doesn't happen very often.
about Ritchie, and the fact that we were quite surprised that the fee for Wilson was lower, 20 million. We're expecting it to be a bit more. And
So
that there was talk about Ritchie going for, was it 2.5 million?
Plus 2.5.
So,
like
which 2.5 million is a ridiculous amount to offer for Ritchie. He's worth way more.
It's very
than
low.
that.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
More. Like, how much really though?
But I wouldn't. It feels like it's worth more than that. But I wouldn't imagine another Premier League club coming in for him.
Well, would you buy him for 8 million, 10 million? Would you if tomorrow? So let's say he played for Southampton, and you know everything you know about. He kicks corner flags, he swipes at fucking linesmen. We know what he's got.
I'd pay 20 million for Matt Ritchie. I love him to bits.
I probably would pay. I wouldn't pay 20, but knowing what you know about him, the age he's versatile as well. He can play left wing back. He played more defensively over the last couple of years.
Left wing back, didn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know. You see, I'm with you, Deka, on that. As a make weight in the Wilson deal, I would have said, well, do it.
Yep.
But he's a good squad player. Like.
Not now. 100% not get rid of him now.
He's a good squad player.
Unless he wants to go back home, like south.
That's the only thing is that he's been up here. He's been up here what 4, 5 seasons now, is it?
5.
I'll tell you something else as well, and no one ever makes this point. Bournemouth got promoted when we got relegated. So he had worked in the Championship, got Bournemouth up, and then came back down for us.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm telling you, that goes a long way for me. Like, I know you wanted to work with Rafa and all the rest of it, but that goes a long way with me. And if he does leave, goes with me blessings because he's been a great servant.
He has.
Versatile, as Bessie said. He's filled in all over the fucking park for him, man. Right wing, left back. You know.
I've seen games, not so much over the last couple of years, but certainly the first season back up, and definitely in the Championship, where like he's gone off, substituted, and the team's suffered as an effect.
Absolutely.
Because he drags the team along with him, very much in a similar way to Lascelles. He's a kind of a captain on the field.
Absolutely.
For me, like I like Ritchie a lot, and his time's going to come before too long. I think. I mean, if he doesn't go this summer, certainly by the end of next season, I think he will go. But I think he's a good player to have around.
Totally agree. I think he'd be thrilled with the lads that have come as well. Fraser and Wilson, his mates. Well, you would expect to be, as we've covered there. I don't know. I do agree with what you're saying there. I didn't actually think of it that way with the figure of 20 million. Is it because they're going to get him at a cut down rate and they've given? I don't know. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but yeah, if he wants to go, fair enough. All the best to you. But if it's our choice, you'll be doing so.
Yeah, I'd like to keep him. To be fair, just for what he brings on and off the field. Yes, he's not the the greatest of attacking wingers, and he doesn't bring the excitement like Saint does, or he potentially doesn't have as much of a ball whipping ability as Fraser, but he brings so much more to it from a mentality point of view and work rate and stuff like that. Much like Jonas did back in the day, from an attitude, performance wise, and that kind of thing. So
it's a funny one with the divisions in the Championship. He used to go. Well, he's a bit older, but in the Championship you could go past a player pretty easily. In the Premier League, it's just that half a pace just doesn't have, does he? He can't beat a man for pace, whereas
he could put a great ball in as well. I thought he had a left foot on him when he got it right. Like
he scored a couple of goals in last season that were great left-footed strikes as well. He's got a great left foot.
Sheffield United at home.
Yes, that was
one. Look at the one he scored against Bournemouth when he hit that volley.
Bournemouth.
Yeah, well, that was, yeah. What did you say there, Bournemouth?
That was last season, season before last one, in the blue kit.
You used to say Bournemouth, right? And Chris used to have a go at it for Bournemouth.
I just pick and choose between them.
I do as well, actually, come to think of it,
your mate, as ever, Geordie Ahmed.
Oh, Ash.
He says, a few weeks ago, I was convinced of relegation. I think that's every season, isn't it?
Every week.
I didn't expect much in terms of transfers. However, we've done reasonably well. If the Lewis deal goes through, then what are your expectations for the season ahead?
It's hard to say, innit? Because we look at how the pre-season's gone, and it looked. I didn't kind of check the 1 to 11 out or whatever it is on the game against Stoke, but it looked like Hayden was playing at centre half.
Yes, he did.
Which is concerning. If Isaac Hayden, I like Hayden a lot. Sorry, Shell, but if Hayden's in and he's not first choice centre half, obviously, but if he has to play centre half in a league match, then you think, we could be in trouble today. We'll seem like a team who's got more threat this season than last, and obviously towards the end of last season as well, Bruce changed his shape to get rid of the 5 at the back and had an extra man in the middle of the park, so it's really hard to say, because on one hand, the signings, the 3 that we've made today and tomorrow with Lewis coming by the looks of things, are really exciting and really positive, and then you look at that, they're getting B5 out of Borough, but again, I'm arguing myself.
I know you
lads, get yourselves away at home, I'll be here all night doing this. It's a stream of consciousness. You can't read too much into pre-season, but like I say, Hayden at centre half, I don't think he would have played there if there was someone else available that could have done.
Yeah, I think
Barcella was on as well,
and stuff like that.
Loads of players wouldn't have played. Yeah. It doesn't make it any better, though.
To be fair, on Barcella, he didn't have a bad game.
Well, he did a good pass to Murphy, who missed, but I mean, other than that, I didn't see any of the game. So
you got to get that in, didn't he?
It was a shocking finish.
There's no one. Murphy's back now, and he did well at Sheffield Wednesday.
But it's a number in our squad, 25 man. It's not easy.
But I think Bruce likes him.
Barcella will be young enough to have he's got
maybe
surely homegrown in under. I mind saying that he's Turkish, but I don't know if he's English Turkish, is he?
I think so.
I think he'd be okay.
Would he be homegrown?
People are always proving with his sister, and I'm sure she's local, so I'm assuming that's from
he is, but he plays for. I'm sure he plays for the Turkey under 23s.
Does that matter when you?
Oh Christ, Ritchie played for them.
Because I think he's been born.
He was 50.
I think he was born here, so that means he would be in the.
Did he not come to
the homegrown players? I think.
What was the question?
He's been at the.
Why would Barcelona's?
Well, we're totally off that.
Question. I actually think we'll stay probably exactly where we are, because I think last season a lot of luck.
So we've spent a lot of money, invested, and we're not gonna make any inroads into the league table.
To be fair, sorry, I apologise. I do sway two sides of that, because I think with the extra bit of quality we've got, that might actually nick a win or two that maybe we didn't get last year. But I do go back to last season and think we got a fair few points on a lot of luck. I think I know it's only 1 point, but Everton away, 2 goals in the second or whatever. Chelsea game. There's a lot of games that we have won. We've been damn lucky, like really lucky.
Yeah.
And I think, the quality that we've got now, well, we think we've got, or we hope we've got. When that luck runs out, which it will. For example, last season, the first 10 games of the season, their centre half scored every week. That probably won't happen again. So, I'm just trying to balance it here, where the quality we've got now might make up for the luck we had last season. But of course, you're hoping that we'll finish higher. Of course you are, but I don't know. I think it might be very similar to this season, to be honest.
I think a lot depends on the centre halves. And the goalkeeper, I mean, how long's Dubravka out for? A couple of months?
That's a huge loss.
Big loss.
Huge
It's
loss.
massive.
If I was the opposition, I'd say just shoot anywhere on the pitch. Just have a fucking go.
As much as Dubravka saves with a lot of points this season, I think Darlow will cost for points.
Yeah,
I agree.
And that takes me back to the conversation we had last week about who should start in between the posts come Saturday.
You or me. I'm a bit tall, I've got the edge, but as long as I can get someone to take me goal kicks, because I've terrible goal kicks.
But we're looking at the top end of the field of how impressed we are and how happy we are.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper is such an important position. Look at the money that the big clubs are paying for goalkeepers. Just ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
And we've got someone who, in my opinion, wasn't good in the Championship, if I'm honest with you. Sorry there.
No, it's okay.
And
You're getting fairly touched up all night,
touched on this earlier on, Deka.
so yeah, that worries us greatly.
Me too. The goalkeeper, it's massively important, especially more now. So where you see them using their feet more often and stuff, and since that back pass law come in recently, 30 years ago, it has. I just don't trust him. And what do you call him? Woodman's gone back to Swansea, hasn't he?
Yes. Season long.
I would have rather seen maybe him have a go.
I would have.
You know what I mean?
Played more for first team football last season.
Because you're kind of behind Gillespie, as we discussed last week.
But he was obviously their first choice keeper up there and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Would you start him? You start Gillespie?
Ahead of Darlow.
To be fair,
I probably would.
I'd probably start Gillespie ahead of Darlow.
I probably would.
I know nothing about him, so I'm being a bit harsh. Fucking Keith Gillespie as far as I'm concerned, but
even just from the pre-season that we've seen, like in the flashes of between the two, Gillespie's looked a bit more assured and confident. And
Darlow conceded 6 goals in 2 games against Championship opposition.
And he scored one. He chucked it himself.
This is concerning, right? And that one against Stoke annoyed me more than anyone because his position
has always been terrible.
I mean, the ball's gone over the top. There's no reason for him to take a step out like that.
No, totally.
There's no reason at all.
He's not getting anywhere near it. So why try and even attempt to come out and like?
And that's down to him.
It's as if that was what's in his mind, isn't it?
People have done that again. I'll move it over there. Sorry. This is what worries us, and this is not worries us, but like how football can be so fickle. Like if we play West Ham, right, say on Saturday, and Darlow does that.
Funnily enough, we will be.
Bruce will get hammered. Oh, fucking lost again. You can sign him you want, but the tactics are shit and this is shit. No. Darlow has come out like a bell end. That's what's happened there. Do you know what I mean? But no, do you understand what I'm trying to get at here? Like sometimes it is the player's decision to be a prick and do something stupid, right?
Yeah.
And
that's my biggest fear. We saw with Shaw against Man City when he got the 2 goals and against Arsenal at home.
Absolutely right.
You get players and you cannot mitigate for that. As a manager, if Steve Bruce if that's the best team he's got available, and Darlow probably will be first choice keeper. That's what he's got to work with.
Well, sorry, I'm going back here, but you have a good point. The Man City game, you're 0-0. Fair enough, we're not playing great. Didn't get us wrong. But he just got some stitches somewhere in the back. You're 1-0 down.
It's stupid.
Absolutely
ridiculous.
You know what I mean? And you're thinking, what the fuck? And then we went 1-1. Ritchie scored, and then Shea doesn't even bother trying to tackle. Okay, 2-1 out the cup. And you think it's very fine margins in a game of football. You know what I mean?
Mickey Egg with an interesting point. Do you think, given that these signings are Brucey's boys' own, that we'll play better football this season? He thinks we'll play better football, and he just hopes the results will follow.
I think we will, because we've just got more options going forward. You've got St Maximin, who's now he was
second season.
Second season, he's had a year. He knows the lads. He knows he's not the unknown anymore. You don't give him a ball and think, I wonder what's going to happen. You've got a left back in Lewis, who for us I liked and still like, because he seemed like a good lad. Jetro Williams, he didn't appear to know his left back to start with. That first game against Arsenal.
He played in midfield.
Aye.
I never liked him defensively, like, ever.
Williams. I didn't mind. I think who had there last season, he was the best of the bunch. Like,
absolutely.
Not much the bar isn't high, like, it's in fairness. But yeah, I think attacking 40, we know that Almiron works well in the middle, compared to being put out wide. We don't need to play him out wide because now Fraser's going to be on one side. I think we've got far better options than we had this time last year. Ironically, we're not as solid at the back by the looks of things. But yeah, I think, to answer Mickey's question there, I think we'll see I hope we'll see a better standard of football.
I only look at a handful of games. Bournemouth away was superb.
Yeah,
I mean, we kept the ball.
Yeah,
we looked fucking amazing.
Really good, that.
And
Sheffield United.
And I was thinking, Jesus.
Home and away.
Yeah. I thought if we could play like that, not every week, because you can't. We're not good enough. But truthfully, there's been some absolute dross in some fucker on Twitter keeps tweeting every day about how many games was it 4 and 21? Well, I don't know who he is.
Was it Rafa Fact?
No, we all know who it is. But he tweets the same tweet every fucking day. You could say Messi, well, I've lost 4 and 21 or whatever. Well,
right,
whatever. You know what I mean?
About now,
every day, no matter what happens. He probably tells his kids that before he puts them to bed. But anyway, that is true though. That is true that there's an issue there, right? But to answer the question is, I hope that you look at that Bournemouth game, the style of football he wants to try and play with having 4 at the back is to try and be a little bit more expansive and try and play football. I do worry that that's not going to happen. I still worry greatly because I see this time and time again. As soon as a team pressures us or puts the squeeze on, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We can't live with it. If a team, it's very rare this happens, sits back against it, yes, we'll look pretty. We'll look pretty then. We're passing it around. As soon as a team changes their mentality and pressures, we're fucked.
Well, you look at Leicester away last season when we tried before.
Awful.
And Pereira and Chilwell just had that rubbing their hands, saying, like, we've got these here. Like,
Warnock's comments about the pre-season games, and you don't have to run to beat these. These are concerning things.
You've got 10 yards already.
These are concerning things for me. Like.
Yeah, they are, definitely. And that's where the kind of jubilation of today, which I'm fully on board with.
I am.
We've signed some good footballers there, in my opinion, is a little bit offset by the fact that there are large areas of concern in the team, in the squad as a whole. We've mentioned goalkeepers, we've said centre halves, both full backs. Well, less so left back now because Lewis looked like he's coming in. And do we have a midfielder? Even though, well, see what Hendrick does. How we got a midfielder that's going to be able to put a foot in the ball and just kind of like what even what Teote did. A bit less Raj, but someone who's going to just be able to take control of the game because Shelby's not that kind of player. Hendrick doesn't appear to be that kind of player. Hayden is a little bit, but you kind of.
Who do you think you're starting 2 on there? Do you think it's Hayden and Shelby still, or do you think Hendricks is in because you've signed him? Or?
It's weird. I don't know. I think Hayden offers something defensively that Hendrick and Shelby don't. And again, referring back to the Toyota kind of player, I'm going to say N'Golo Kante. I'm not saying that Hayden and Kante are on par with one another. If anything, Hayden's a bit better because he's got that little bit of a streak in money.
He's better at sliding tackles.
He is. Doesn't like playing Leicester as much as Kante seems like playing at Leicester.
But do you think that was a send off? That you did, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. I think Shelby's got that thing where a game can pass him by, but like he can put the ball on someone's toe end from like fucking 80 odd yards.
But Shelby plays every week for me. I've had this argument with so many times. He's the only one that passes the fucking ball, man. But I do. A lot of people say, my mate says that a lot to me. He says, the game passes him by sometimes. I said, fucking Newcastle United, man. Are you expecting him for an hour and a half? I'll just command this midfield, lads, don't worry. I'm here. No, he wouldn't play for us, man. He wouldn't. He'd be away, man. He'd be away.
That's true.
He's never ever going to command a fucking game of football for us, ever. He did in the Championship at times. Let's be fair. Yeah. He did quarterback role. He ruined. He just really was amazing at times. But I think I agree that Hayden has to play.
Yeah.
As much as I don't think he's the greatest in the world, that's my opinion. But he does that dogged work, discipline, works hard, tackles, does the easy thing.
He wins the ball back. And then
I think if you played him and Sean, if you played Shelby and Sean in midfield, your defence are just begging for help because it would just be streaming up.
Yeah.
Well, we've got 5 days to wait until we find out. That first game of the season coming up.
And I think another point to make here, which we'll get on to it, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's just not overreact. Let's just not overreact. If like, well, we get beat off West Ham, we get beat. It's a long season, right? And likewise, if we beat West Ham 3-0, calm down. Yeah. Well, I'll be here fucking wanking probably. But I mean, like, just either side of the coin, just don't overreact too much, like, because it's a long way. Well, we got beat off Leicester 5-0, and the following week we beat Man United 1-0 at home. Matty scored or whatever it was, and you're like,
yeah, it was
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
1 week we're round here going, it's the fucking worst, end of the world. Then you beat Man United at home, and he scores on his debut. It's the best thing ever. Just calm the fuck down. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't overreact too much.
38 games, it's a long way to go.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Massive,
of course I want them to win on Saturday. Of course I do. I hate West Ham. I absolutely hate them. So I'd love to beat them, but you know.
Don't bother me, West Ham. I never really minded them. When I was a kid, my mate, Kingy, his uncle worked his mate worked like a book factory. So he had like all of West Ham and Palace kits. The kits were mint. I thought, since then, it's a weird thing.
Well, I like Di Canio until when that happened.
Yeah.
But I like Di Canio.
But fascist as well. Like.
Bubbles problems, like, can I get away with the Bubbles business?
Don't like Bubbles.
It was my
and the self-righteousness of the fans as well.
Yeah, when the
of
World Cup and all that.
Yeah, we need to be
the West Ham way.
West Ham. What the fuck is that West Ham way?
Racism.
Well, there we go. Good night.
Well, we'll touch on that one because we have got the your Newcastle versus West Ham match preview coming up later on this week. So first of all, thanks to our sponsor, GEORDIE Gifts, who have sponsored us again for this season. I'll try and get my words out. So you'll be seeing more from them. You'll see a nice fancy little indent for that's new for this season. Other podcasts coming this week. You'll have Extra Time with Emil and Jess and guests. And of course, Andy on the away say maybe if he gets his finger out. But we'll definitely be back with your West Ham preview. But for the time being, good night and we'll see you later.
See ya.